Hey everyone, hello. So today, we traveled to a world said to exist before memory itself, a vanished continent called Lemuria. Picture a sprawling landmass in the Indian and Pacific Oceans, inhabited by a gentle, highly spiritual people who lived in harmony with nature, communicated telepathically, and understood the energy of the cosmos as easily as we understand language. This is the story of Lemurian mythology, its origins, its evolution, and the enduring belief it inspires today. And along the way, we'll clear up an important point. Lemuria is not Atlantis. Their stories may run parallel, but their identities are distinct. Unlike many ancient myths, Lemuria doesn't come from a classical text or an old oral tradition. Its origin began in the 19th century, in the age of Darwin, geology, and scientific speculation. Zoologist Philip Schlater observed that lemurs, the animals, appeared in both Madagascar and India, but not in Africa or the Middle East. Trying to explain this distribution, he proposed a lost land bridge, which he called Lemuria. This was not meant to be mystical. It was a scientific placeholder, an attempt to describe continental drift before plate tectonics existed. But the world soon took that idea and transformed it. Enter the 1800s and the rise of theosophy, led by the influential occult thinker Helena Blavatsky. Blavatsky looked at Schlater's hypothetical landmass and asked, what if it wasn't just land? What if it was an entire home to an entire ancient race? In her cosmology, Lemurians became one of the root races, spiritually evolving stages of humanity. According to theosophical lore, Lemurians possessed tall, etheric bodies and were neither fully physical nor spiritual. And they produced in unusual ways, including laying eggs. And they communicated through telepathy and energy resonance, and lived in matriarchal and communal societies, held deep knowledge of earth energies and cosmic laws. In this mystical universe, Lemuria became the cradle of ancient wisdom, a civilization older than Atlantis, more intuitive and more nature-bound. While Atlantis symbolized technology, intellect, and eventual hubris, Lemuria symbolized intuition, unity, and spiritual purity. And again, these two civilizations, they're not the same, nor did they necessarily exist at the same time in the lore. Lemuria is characterized as softer, gentler, and more heart-centered. Lemurian mythology tells that the continent eventually faced disaster. Some versions describe geothermal instability, volcanic eruptions, dramatic plate shifts, a gradual sinking in the ocean, or an energetic shift that caused the plates to diverge from ours. In many modern spiritual interpretations, Lemurians did not simply die, they evolved. Some say they transformed into fifth-dimensional beings, ascending beyond physical realm, or physical form, rather. Others believe that Lemurians stayed behind, helping guide the early development of human consciousness from behind the scenes. And some legends suggest they migrated to places like Hawaii, Easter Island, New Zealand, Madagascar, and most famously, Mount Shasta in California. Which brings us to one of the most enduring modern extensions of Lemurian lore. In the early 20th century, occult writers began claiming that Mount Shasta was a gathering point or even a refuge for surviving Lemurians. These Lemurians were said to live in underground crystal cities, hidden sanctuaries, and interdimensional chambers. Descriptions vary, but they're often portrayed as tall, serene, luminous beings clothed in white robes and carrying crystals that pulse with healing energy. Their teachings emphasize unity, compassion, connection to the earth, the power of vibration and thought, cosmic consciousness, and the idea that humanity is awakening to a new spiritual epoch. Even today, Mount Shasta is a magnet for people seeking spiritual experiences, healing retreats, and contact with Lemurian energy. Sometimes, though, people confuse Lemuria with lemurs, but the two have nothing in common. Lemuries are Roman spirits of the dead, restless ghosts appeased through rituals. Lemuria comes from the 19th century science and evolved into a modern myth about a lost civilization. One is an ancient Roman folklore, and the other is a mystical modern mythology. Completely separate origins, completely different meanings. Today, Lemuria is less about geography and more about consciousness. Many spiritual traditions draw from Lemurian lore to emphasize, number one, unity and oneness, a belief that early humanity once lived in harmony and can return to that state. Number two, healing and energy work. Practices like crystal healing and Reiki sometimes trace symbolic roots to Lemurian wisdom. 3 would be heart-centered living. Lemurians represent emotional intelligence, empathy, and the power of compassion. And number 4 is cosmic awareness, ideas about star seeds, multidimensional beings, and spiritual evolution often intertwine with Lemurian myth. And then number 5, the earth stewardship. Since Lemurians were children of nature, their myth encourages environmental care. Whether taken literally, symbolically, or artistically, Lemuria remains a powerful spiritual archetype. Why does Lemuria still fascinate? Maybe because it represents something humanity longs for, a world where people are kind, intuitive, and united, where technology doesn't overshadow the soul, and where wisdom flows from nature and consciousness, not machines. Lemuria, in many ways, is the dream of what humanity could be, a myth rooted in scientific mistake, expanded by occult imagination and reborn as a modern symbol of healing and hope. Whether Lemuria existed in the physical world or only in the collective imagination, its message endures. We are more connected than we realize, to each other, to the earth, and to the vast cosmos around us. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the mists of ancient myth. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep your mind open to the wonders that may lie just beyond the visible world. All right, everyone, take care. Peace.